I can believe that because remember, after all them hours in the hospital, I still.
So, can I get access to, not access, but to share the screen? I straight? Oh,
Yeah, you should be able to now. You should
good
be
stuff.
able to.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. I said, let me call first. All right. Thank you.
All right, come on.
Okay.
Huh?
Somebody think with us.
I don't was anywhere.
Yeah.
You look crazy.
My the charger.
Huh?
Charger with us.
Get right off from.
Get it. All right. Good day, everybody. We're 1 past 6. I guess everybody is on early holiday or something. Let me just make sure everybody in the class is going to come in, and we continue with today's session. Give me un momento, por favor. All right. Can everyone hear me? If you can, raise your hand for me. I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. Good. All right. Perfect. Let me see. Introduction to finance. Okay. All right, we're going to talk about interest rates. And when we talk about interest rates, we must come to the understanding that interest rates is the rent, more or less, that you're paying for money that you borrow. All right. So when you think about rent, you're thinking about something that doesn't own, that you don't own, and that you have to pay back. So your interest rate is essentially what you're paying for the cost of borrowing. Now, a key thing to understand is know is that interest rates uh, are not the same for everybody that walks into a financial institution. Essentially, interest rates are determined by Well, interest rates is the cost that the lending institution determines your risk worthiness is to them. So the more risky you are, the more they would charge you for interest. All right. The less risky you are, the less they would charge you for interest. So that's something that you must understand. Interest rates are the cost for borrowing. Interest rates are the costs associated with borrowing. And oftentimes, when you have a loan, what you're actually paying back is the principal plus interest. So tonight in chapter 5, we're going to be discussing interest rates. All right. We're going to be discussing interest rates. Now, this is not going to be part of your test. Your test is going to be on chapters 2, 3, and 4. The test is already made up. There's 60 questions, 2 hours. All right. And of course, you have two chances to complete the exam. Exam starts tonight at 9 p.m. It ends on Tuesday at midnight. All right. So that by next Wednesday, you will be essentially here, completed, hopefully, with the exam. Spoke with Rochelle earlier, and she would have, Mr. Oliver, she would have marked both chapters 3 and 4, as you'll get them back by tonight or by tomorrow. Okay. So we're just going to get into interest rates tonight, and we're going to see where this leads us. All right, let's go on. So when you talk about interest rates, we're going to discuss tonight how financial institutions quote interest rates and how they compute the effective annual rate on a loan or investment. Okay. Secondly, we're going to apply the TVM, the time value of money equations, by accounting for the compounding periods per year. The third thing that we are going to do is set up monthly amortization tables. Okay, we're going to set up monthly amortization tables for consumer loans and illustrate the payment changes as the compounding or annuity period changes. And then fourthly, we're going to explain the real rate of interest and the impact of inflation on nominal rates. Okay. And after that, we're going to summarize the two major premiums that differentiate interest rates. You have the default premium, the maturity premium. We're going to understand the implications of yield curves. And then 5 to 7, you're going to amaze your family and friends with your knowledge of interest rate history. All right. So the interest rate history doesn't apply to us because the interest rate history really speaks to the context in America. All right. So that wouldn't apply to us as we continue in our class. So let's go on. So how financial institutions quote interest rates? How do they determine what interest rate they're gonna charge you? The most common rate quoted is the annual percentage rate, which is the APR. The most common rate quoted is the annual percentage rate, which is the APR. It is the annual rate based on interest being computed once a year. All right. It's the annual rate. That's what the APR is. It's the annual rate based on interest being computed once a year. Thirdly, the lenders often charge interest on a non-annual basis. In such a case, the APR is divided by the number of compounding periods per year to calculate the periodic interest rate. So periodic interest rate is what the interest rate is per interest period. So whether your interest is calculated on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, bi-monthly basis, semi-annual basis, this will determine what your periodic interest rate is. So for example, if you have an annual percentage rate, that's the normal rate that is quoted. So when you go to the bank and they tell you the rate is 12%, that rate is then divided by how often you're paying interest on that particular loan. All right. So you have an APR of 12%. M would be 12, which is your months. I percentage would be your what do you call it? Your I percentage would be your interest rate. And then you take your M divided by your I, and then you get your 1%. All right. So effectively, that means that when they charge you 12% of an annual percentage rate, and they tell you that you're paying back on a monthly basis, you're actually paying back 1% per month. All right. So the effective annual rate is the true rate of return to the lender and the true cost of borrowing to the borrower. All right. So let's make that make sense. So it means then that when the bank tells you that you're actually paying 12% per year, that is not necessarily true. Because of the power of compounding, when you're paying back 1% per month, it actually means then that you're paying back a bit more every other month because the interest is compounded because your balance would change and your interest is not going to be accrued on your original balance. Is going to be accrued on whatever your standing balance is as at the end of that particular month. All right, we're going to go into that just a bit more. So an EAR, an effective annual rate, also known as the annual percentage yield on an investment, is calculated from a given APR, which for the first instance was 12%, and the frequency of compounding by using the following equation. So you'll need to know this equation for your test. All right. Your EAR is 1 plus your annual percentage rate over the amount of months per year, or whatever the amount of periods that you're compounding per year, to the power of the number of periods per year minus 1. All right. Sorry, someone had a question? All right. So your EAR is also known as the annual percentage rate on an investment. All right. It's an annual percentage yield, sorry, on an investment, and it's calculated from a given APR and frequency of compounding by using the following equations. Remember this equation. EAR equals 1 plus APR over the amount of periods to the power of the amount of periods minus 1. All right. Minus 1. Everybody clear so far? We're good? Let me know. Let me see if I could. I'm trying to get the what you call the word? Trying to get the chat up to make sure. Mm-mm-mm. 1 second for me. Mail. Okay, if everybody's good with that, we'll move on to the next part. So calculating EAR or your annual percentage yield. Calculating EAR or your annual percentage yield. The first common bank, this is an example. So if you're taking notes, you can take this example down. The first common bank has advertised one of its loan offerings. All right. First common bank has advertised one of its loan offerings as follows. We will lend you $100,000 for up to 3 years at an APR of 8.5% interest compounded monthly. If you borrow $100,000 for 1 year, how much interest will you have paid and what is the bank's APY? All right. So let's go back to this one before we work it out. All right. So let's look at this example here. We said the EAR, if you have a pen and paper, write it down. EAR equals open bracket 1 plus APR over M, close bracket to the power of M minus 1. So the first question is that the bank tells you you're borrowing $100,000. All right, you're borrowing $100,000 for 3 years, borrowing $100,000 for 3 years and at 8.5%. What's your EAR for that? You're borrowing it for 1 year. how much interest would you have paid, and what's the bank's APY?
You are being very unreasonable already.
Pardon? Any other part? All right. So let's look at it. So the First Common Bank has advertised one of its loan offerings as follows. We will lend you $100,000 for up to 3 years at an APR of 8.5% compounded monthly. If you borrow $100,000 for 1 year, how much interest will you have paid, and what's the bank's APY, sorry. The first thing that you do is you determine what is your nominal annual rate, your APR, which is 8.5%. So the bank tells you in a given year, you'll pay them back 8.5%. Okay. The frequency of compounding, or the M, would be 12 because there are 12 months in a year. If the interest is compounded monthly, that means the frequency of a compounding for 1 year is 12. Can anyone let me know if they said that it's done bi-weekly, how many what's the frequency of compounding?
Good afternoon.
Say
Hello.
bye.
Mr.
say bye.
Cartwright,
Hi,
I on the road driving. This caller.
not a problem. I got you.
You gotta start over.
We got okay. You mean to start over now?
You staying on this thing for 3 hours again?
No, ma'am. We're gonna be on till about 7:45.
Okay, that's
Go
good. Okay, so just bear with me. I'm in the car, okay? So don't ask me no questions.
Not a problem. I won't give y'all as much time after the day's announcement. I'll give y'all enough time to get your mind wrapped around this 2-hour quiz
Oh, when the hell that could be?
tonight, 9
You
o'clock
lie.
sharp.
At what time?
9 p.m. it starts. It ends next week Tuesday at midnight.
How much questions?
What chapters you say?
There are 60 questions, chapters 2, 3, and 4.
Multiple
But
choice?
it's multiple choice and true and false.
So we have 2 attempts, eh?
2 attempts. You have 2 attempts.
Okay, that ain't too bad then.
That ain't too bad. No, that ain't too bad. Now
And how long the quiz is?
2 hours.
Oh, not bad. You do good.
No, but I can guarantee you can easily do 2 hours though. So
Oh, that means it's hard, eh?
no, it's just it's reasonable.
Oh wow! So you can eat
Reasonable.
2 hours. You put plenty of equations, eh?
That's a good amount of equation. So make sure you have before you start your quiz. Make sure you have your pen, your pencil, your paper, and your calculator, please. Because remember the quiz is timed. All right.
You know them quizzes take up some quizzes take but 10 minutes to answer.
I know, right? But y'all get 2 full hours. See, I'm not following the advice of one of my learned colleagues who say, give y'all an hour and a half. I was lenient.
No, don't do that.
No. But let's look at the EAR. Because this is definitely a part of your next quiz. This is definitely there. So I want you to grasp this concept. All right. So you have your annual is 8.5%. If I tell you that that you're paying back bi-weekly, what's the frequency of compounding? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
What do you mean the frequency?
How many times for that year would you be paying interest if you're paying bi-weekly?
24.
You sure?
You say bi-weekly, right?
Right?
Yeah, if monthly is 12, then bi-weekly would be 24.
No. Let's go again. How many 2-week periods do we have in a year?
52? No. Oh, sorry.
53.
Half of it. Sorry.
Right. So every 26. So if it's
Right.
bi-weekly, you would pay 26. You'll be paying 26 times for that year. All right. So that'll be your M. Now your periodic interest rate then is where you take your 8.5%, which the bank says you're paying for the year, and you divide it by how many pay periods or how many interest periods you're paying for that year, and that is divided by 12. All right. So you have 8.5 divided by 12. So that means for every month, you're paying back the bank 0.7%, 0.71%. All right. Essentially. So that means then that so what you do after this is you would add 1 to your, okay, let me see if I can make this make sense. You take your 8.5%, which is for your annual payment. If you're taking notes, you can write this down because I have normally 6 steps that I show you in how to calculate your EAR. You take your 8.5%, you divide it by 12, and you'll get 0.70833%. We agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So then after that, what you do is you take your 0.70833% and you divide that by 100 because you want to make your percentage a decimal. So you now have 0.00700833. Okay. Now you make this into an integer because you have to put this to the power of something, and you can't put something to the power of something if it's a decimal or if it is not a whole number plus. So how do you make this decimal a whole number plus? You add 1 to it. So you say 1 plus 0.0070833, and that's how you would get your 1.0070833. We good? You take that 1.0070833 and you put it to the power of however many interest rate periods you have in that particular year. In this particular example, there are 12. If we had said bi-weekly, it would have been to the power of 26. Make sense? Let me know when it stopped making sense.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. So you put it to the power of 12 and then you subtract, and then you get that answer, and then you take away 1. So your answer for that 1.0070833 to the power of 12 would give you 1.08839. Now that you've used that 1 that you've added to that decimal to make that an integer so that you can put it to the power of, you now take that 1 back. So you subtract that 1 again. 1.08839, you take away your 1, and you would get 0.8839, which is your decimal. How do you turn that decimal into a percentage again? You multiply by 100. It's not seen here, but this is what happened. All right. And then you get 8.839%. We good? So your EAR is 8.839%. That's your EAR. So that's how much you actually paid the bank back over that 1 year period. Granted, they advertised to you that your interest rate is only 8.5%. So you had an expectancy that you were only paying back $8,500. But in actuality, with the power of compounding, you're actually paying back the bank $8,839.09. We saw we get that, right? Which is why when you have persons who go to the bank for a mortgage, they would come from the bank and say, man, I should have been finished paying this long time. Because you said, I'm paying you back X, Y, and Z per year, sorry. And this is what, if I paid you back this amount per year, by this amount of time, I'd have been paid off, or paid back this amount. But what you don't understand is that for every month that they calculate your interest, they're actually calculating interest on a new balance every month. That's the power of compounding. Now, compounding can work for you or it can work against you. Because the same way it works against you in loans, it works for you when you have savings, which is also why when you're paying back just your principal on top of your actual regular mortgage payment. That's why your loan, your mortgage loan, comes down faster, because for every time you make a payment to that account, it actually reworks or recalculates. And the more frequently it recalculates, the more interest is accrued to it, and the faster, I should say, your balance would go down. Make sense? We good? I presume so. All right. So that's what that is. All right. So let's go. Let's do an example. Let's do a quick test, a quick quiz. All right. I am First Common Bank. You've come to me for a loan. I told you I'll lend you $50,000.
Fun finance. Where you working
Pardon?
now?
I think someone's on mute, off mute. All right. So here we go. All right. So I'm lending you $50,000. I'm lending you it at a rate of 7%. I'm lending you $50,000. I'm lending it you at 7%, and I'm expecting you to pay me back bi-monthly. I'm expecting you to pay me back bi-monthly. What is the EAR that you're paying me back? $50,000 at 7%, paying me back bi-monthly. I'm going to give you 2 minutes.
Mr. Cartwright, you don't shopping for this lockdown, eh?
No, ma'am. Big. No. We only locked down for the weekend. Eh? Strong lockdown for the weekends. So I could do that probably Thursday or Friday.
The food store could be full in here full now, and I in the food store.
I believe you.
Are you serious?
I truly believe you.
But the line ain't long, so you could be able to get in.
Truly believe you.
Sorry.
All right, so we have $50,000, $50,000, 7%, $50,000, 7%, and we have that at bi-monthly. Anybody came up with an EAR as yet? Anybody want to give an answer?
I get you say EAR, right?
Correct.
I got 7.24073.
How did you get that?
I divided 7% by 26 for my APR. Is it APR? Yeah, APR. And I got 0.
Why 26?
And you said bi-monthly.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I use 26.
No, bi-monthly would be different from bi-weekly.
Oh, you say bi-monthly. Oh, I thought you said bi-weekly. Sorry. I have to do that over
Right.
then. Okay.
No problem.
Yeah.
So bi-monthly would be every 2 months, which means that there are, yeah. Let's try. Anybody else will take a stab while Justice gets back to us. Anybody else want to take a stab at it? So let's go back, Justice, to where you were working it out. You have 7 divided by 6. That would give you how much?
1.1666 recurring.
Mm-hmm. So you take your 1.1666 recurring, and then what do you do with that?
Divided by 100.
Divided by 100, and you get
0.01166 recurring.
right, and then you add. What do you do after that? Sorry,
Add 1.
and then you put it to the power of.
Power of 6.
And what do you get?
1.072073.
Right, and you take that, and then you do what?
Take away 1.
And then you multiply that figure by 100, and you get
7.2073.
right. And so it may not make a lot of difference to you if you're paying 7% or 7.2%, but it makes a difference when you're calculating in the millions. It can speak to whether you're out a couple, several $100,000. Also, on the flip side, if you were saving and the bank tells you, okay, I'll pay you 7%, but when you were actually due 7.2%, you would make a whole lot of noise for your 0.2%. All right. So when you are making a decision as a finance manager, you have to not only be acutely aware of what their nominal rate is, but stated rate is, but you have to be acutely aware of what the EAR is, or the effective annual rate. Banks in America were actually mandated by law to place the EAR on their credit card statements because they had people thinking that, oh, I'm borrowing this, or I'm using this, I'm paying back this amount. But when they had to actually show them what they were paying back, because the amount of that EAR is a deterrent to what you would be spending, and people often found themselves in the midst of a lot of debt because what they thought they were actually paying interest on or with, they were paying a lot more than that. So you have to be careful when you are going to the bank. You have to find out what your EAR is, find out what exactly you're paying. You can calculate that by determining how many interest rate payments are you making for that year. All right, how many interest payments are you making for that year? Let's push on. What's the effect of compounding periods on time value of money? All right, what's the effect of compounding periods on time value of money? All right, the TVM, or time value of money, which you would have done last week before, requires the periodic rate and the number of periods to be entered as inputs. The greater the frequency of payments made per year, the lower the total amount paid. All right. The greater the frequency of payments made per year, the lower the total amount paid. Total amount, like we said, it contains your period plus, your principal plus your interest. So when you have both of them together, the more you're paying payments for that year, the lower the total amount of your P plus, which is your principal, P plus I, would be at the end of your loan. More money goes to the principal and less interest is charged. All right, because we must remember interest is charged on your principal. So the more principal payments you're making, the less interest, or the less amount of interest you have to pay back to the bank. The interest rate entered should be consistent with the frequency of compounding and the number of payments involved. Let's continue. Okay. So let's use an example. Jim needs to borrow $50,000 for a business expansion project. His bank agrees to lend him the money over a 5-year term at an APR, or an annual percentage rate, of 9%, and will accept either annual, quarterly, or monthly payments with no change in the quoted APR. This is a very, very nice bank. So the bank tells them, listen, you can either pay us once a year, you could pay us every 3 months, or you could pay us every month. Calculate the period payment under each alternative and compare the total amount paid each year under each option. Let's look at it. Okay. So the first one is $50,000, right? The first example is $50,000. Loan amount of 50,000. Loan period is 5 years. APR is 9%. So what do? We take out 50,000. We determine what the N is. And then we say the I is what? 9%. Future value is 0 because we're just paying this for that year. And then we say P divided by Y, or your principal, sorry, your interest rate divided by how many times you're making it per year. If it's annual, that's 1 time. And your C divided by Y is 1. All right, let's go back to see what C is. The compounding is actually 1. All right, so here we go. That should be $12,854. When we look again for quarterly payments, if we do the same thing, you're actually paying back the bank $12,528. If you're doing it on a monthly basis, what you're paying back for that year to the bank is $12,455.04. So we see here that if we are able to pay every month, we're actually going to be paying almost $400 less than if we chose to pay them back once per year. Again, the principle stands. The more payments we make per year, the lower the payback we are doing to the bank. Make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
You good. Okay, perfect. All right, let's push on. I told you this may even be earlier than 7:45, so let's go. What's the effect of compounding periods on time value of money equations? Let's look at this again. Joshua, who is currently 25 years old, wants to invest money into a retirement account so as to have $2 million saved up when he retires at age 65. If he can earn 12% per year in an equity fund, calculate the amount of money he would have to invest in equal annual amounts and alternatively in equal monthly amounts starting at the end of the current year or month, respectively. So let's look at this again. If Joshua had to make an annual, and this is how they determine annuities and all that kind of stuff. If Joshua wants to have $2 million in 40 years at an interest rate of 12%, and he was making one payment per year, he would have had to find $2,607.25 for the year, for that one-time payment for the year. All right. And if he were to do it on a monthly basis, he would have to come up with $169.99, which means though that per month, if he was paying that $169 per month, he would then just have to put up at the end of the year, he would just have to be having to put in $2,039.88. $2,039.88. So for him, it was cheaper for him to actually pay this on a monthly basis than paying it on an annual basis. Because when you pay once per annum, you're actually going to pay more. All right. Because when you look at the calculations, if he was paying back $169.99 per month, that means then at the end of the year, he would have only had to fork out $2,000, just a little over $2,000. But when he was paying it once per year, he would have actually had to pay $2,600, which is $600 more per year. All right. So you have to kind of understand that the more payments you're making per year, the lower your annual cash outlay would actually be. So let's look at consumer loans and amortization schedules. As a finance manager, you have to be able to know what is the best loan to take. You have to know what's the amortization table, the amortization schedule. Amortization means how you're paying back this money, and the amortization table will tell you what you would have paid up to a certain time at any given point in time in the future. All right. So interest is charged only on the outstanding balance of a typical consumer loan. So same thing with your credit card. Even when you're paying down on your credit card, interest is still accruing because interest accrues on whatever is owed. Secondly, increases in frequency and size of payments result in reduced interest charges and quicker payoff due to more money being applied to loan balance each month. So that means then if you have a credit card and you have one payment per month, which is your minimum payment, if you get paid bi-weekly and you're paying that $100 twice per month, then your loan goes down faster. Not just by the mere fact that you're putting more money, but it actually speaks to the frequency with which you're paying. All right? It actually speaks to the frequency with which you are paying. All right, let's look at it again. All right, so paying off a loan early. This is what we talked about with the 30-year mortgage, all right? Kay has just taken out a $200,000 mortgage, 5% mortgage. She has heard from friends that if she increases the size of her monthly payment by 1/12 of the monthly payment, she will be able to pay off the loan much earlier and save a bundle on interest costs. She's not convinced. So use the necessary calculations to help convince her that this is in fact true. All right. I just told somebody today that listen, if you give me the amount that you owe, give me the amount that you pay, I can show you how by just adding a fraction of what you are paying now will actually cut down your loan. I'm hoping this can help somebody who's got a whole lot of money that they are actually paying now and they need to pay off something quickly. All right. Let's go on. Consumer loans and amortization schedules. So we first solve for the required minimum monthly payment. So you take your $200,000, you look at 5, which is your interest divided by how many times you're paying that per year, which is 5%. You are looking at the number of payments, which is 30 times 12, which is 360. So it's 30 years and it's 12 months per year. So in total, you're making 360 payments on this loan or this mortgage. And it's 12, which is 12 times per year. All right. So your payment would actually be $1,073.64. $1,073.64 would be your mortgage payment, your minimum monthly payment. Next, we would calculate the number of payments required to pay off the loan. If the monthly payment is increased by 1 or $89.47. All right, so let's look at it. If you just add $90 to your loan every month, that's what this is saying. If you just add $90 to your loan every month, you can pay a loan back in 25 years and 25.26 years. If you just pay $90 more on your loan per month, you can actually trim off $5 per year. Now let's look at it. What do you spend $90 on per month that you don't even consider? How much money do you spend? What's something that we spend money on that we don't need to spend money on? Anybody?
Nails, hair.
Oh boy. I know people could cut out nail for every month. I don't know.
Food, expensive food.
Expensive food.
Well, dining out, I guess. Dining out.
Yeah.
Happy hour. Think about it. $90, just $90 extra per month can trim off 5 years off your mortgage. Right? So where you would have been paying over the course of your mortgage for 360 months, you're actually going to be paying back only for 5 years. Now, there are some banks that you're now only gonna actually be paying back 303 months, or you would have shaved off actually 57 months, almost 5 years. All right. So let's look at it. What does this mean? It means then that instead of paying 1,073 per month, you're actually going to be paying 1,163 and 11 cents. 1,163 and 11 cents per month. The question is, you change nothing else. Now you have to enter this agreement with your bank, and you have to make sure that the bank doesn't pay penalties for early repayment and all that good. Okay. Let's push on. Consumer loans. All right, let's look at another example. Let's look at how much we're going to be paying back to bank. It tells me then that you would be saving over the course of 25 years, as opposed to 30 years, you'd be saving $32,000, almost $33,000 if you just add $90 per month for the next 25 years. Now that's a lot of years.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of years, but I guess that's what mortgage is. All right. So this is something to consider when you have your clients. This is something you sit down and you discuss with them when you're taking out your own mortgage. This is something to consider. Just for a fraction of what you're paying now, added to your added to your loan payment, you can cut the amount of money you're spending over time by $32,000. Now, if you take that same amount of money and you would have invested that, how much money would you have actually
So
accrued?
we applying that money on the principal or the credit or the interest. The
Now,
$90.
yeah, based on this example, this actually, they've actually just increased the payment. They didn't indicate that it's going toward the principal, but it's advised by banks that you go in and you say, I want this $90 put to my principal, because interest is actually going to accrue. Sorry, not interest. Yeah, interest is actually interest actually hits, like we said, the outstanding balance. So it's advised that this $90 is put toward your principal payment. Let's look at nominal and real interest rates. The nominal risk-free rate is the rate of interest earned on a risk-free investment, such as a bank CD or a treasury certificate. All right. The nominal risk-free rate is the rate of interest earned on a risk-free investment, such as a bank CD or a treasury security. Why would somebody want to invest in a nominal and receive nominal risk-free rate?
High interest return?
No, it actually no, it wouldn't be a high interest return. It would actually be low interest return, but that's because why?
It isn't risky, it's sure.
It's short term, it isn't risky. You just need to hold this here and keep this safe for the
Secure
next.
then.
Pardon, sorry?
So it's more secure then.
Yeah, it's more secure. You just don't want to spend it, but you just want to hold it, but you're gonna need it soon. But why you don't need it soon? Why you don't need it right now, but you need it soon? You're gonna try to get as much interest as you can on the short term. And because it's so secure, there isn't a major risk to you, so you won't have to pay the risk premium. The risk premium is a fancy term they use to just explain the amount that they're paying you that is higher than any other interest rate, because you're actually absorbing any risk that's involved. All right, you're absorbing and you're taking in any risk. Let's continue. It is essentially a compensation that's paid for the giving up of current consumption by the investor. All right. It is essentially a compensation paid for the giving up of current consumption by the investor. So that means then, because the investor chooses not to use the money now, we have to pay them for their quote unquote sacrifice. All right. We got to pay them for their quote unquote sacrifice. And so that means then that this is why you're getting interest. You put your money in the bank for interest because you're going to say, I don't need it now. But while you're holding it, you need to give me something for you holding it. All right. Let's continue. All right. So the real rate of interest adjusts for the erosion of purchasing power caused by inflation. Okay. So the real rate of interest adjusts for the erosion of purchasing power caused by inflation. So the real rate of interest that you're getting paid, it actually moves based on inflation. Anybody want to give a stab at what inflation means?
It's
Go ahead, sorry.
basically basically the rise in the price of goods and services.
Right. It's a rise in the cost of goods and services over time. All right. So what happens is as time moves on, the actual cost or the value of something would decrease. All right. So the $2 million today won't be worth $2 million in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So you actually have to make sure that you are actually investing and having in mind that this money will not be worth the same because the cost of goods will increase over time. All right. So the Fisher effect shown below is the equation that shows the relationship between the real rate, the inflation rate, and the nominal interest rate. All right. 1 plus R is your 1 plus interest rate is equal to 1 plus your real rate multiplied by 1 plus your inflation rate. So your rate then, so then you can just look at that equation. So it says now that the Fisher effect, this equation shows how the real rate, the inflation rate, and the nominal interest rate, or the nominal rate that we are used to, that we see on every, I guess, investment that you make, the 12% they promise you or the 10% you have to pay back. What it actually, the Fisher effect actually shows how this affects you over time. All right. And how your rate of interest must adjust to make sure that you don't find yourself, or the person who lends doesn't find themselves in a hole, because the $100,000 I lend you today will not be worth that same thing years down the road. So you want to ensure that both parties in this actually are paying what they ought to pay and are receiving what they ought to receive, because it wouldn't be fair for the person who lends you $100,000 now to be receiving less when you've actually already used the money when you first got the loan. You've already sucked everything dry out of the loan, whatever you use the loan for. You've already used that and expended that during the lifetime of that product. But by the time that you finish paying the person back, it has no value. It doesn't have the same value to them. All right. So your real rate adjusts for those kind of situations. Let's look at calculating nominal and real interest rates. So Jill has $100. She's tempted to buy 10 t-shirts, with each one costing $10. However, she realizes if she saves the money in a bank account, she should be able to buy 11 shirts. If the cost of the t-shirt increases by the rate of inflation, that is, by 4%, how much would her nominal and real rates of return have to be? So this is how she determines what's a good rate to actually put the money in the bank. Either you buy it now, or if there's a delay in your buying, what would be a satisfactory interest rate that you'd be paid back to make sure that you get your 11 shirts. All right. So let's look at it. Let's continue. Let's continue. All right. So let's look at your real rate of return. So your real rate of return is your future value, which is your 11 shirts, divided by your present value, which is your 10 shirts, to the power of 1 divided by 1 minus 1, that's 10%. The price of your shirt next year will actually be, so if the price of your inflation is 4%, that means that every year your shirt is expected up by 4%. So that means next year your shirt will be valued at $10.40. $10.40. So the total cost of your 11 shirts would be next year, if you don't buy your shirts this year, but you want to put the money in the bank to get it next year, the value of your 11 shirts next year would be $114.40. All right. So how do you work this out? You work this out by you taking your $114.40, you divide it by how much your shirts will cost you this year, which are $100, and you must subtract 1. That's where you get your 14.4%. So your nominal rate of return would be 14.4%. Everybody good so far? Or you lost? Let me know. Everybody?
All right.
It's okay.
You sure?
I think so.
We can see by the test. We can see by the test. Everybody, I hear nobody say nothing else.
I think so.
Mind you, we have the class coming at 7:45. The quiz don't start till 9, which means I got an hour and 15 minutes to add a couple questions from chapter 5.
No. What?
Let me know if you
No,
You
no,
can't
no,
be
no.
like everybody was wrong. All right.
Oh, straight.
Yeah.
I have no
Hey,
clue.
everybody good?
I good.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want you, and mind you, if you say you good, that means I could add stuff too. I just said
No. I got a review.
you gotta review it. You got
No,
an hour
I
and 15
ain't
minutes to
good.
review.
I agree. I got a review too.
I have to review this after you finish.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I got you. So y'all have
When you say the quiz stop, Mr. Cartwright,
Tuesday.
Tuesday at
and
midnight.
that's when Mr. Cargalone starts.
Oh yeah? Well,
Oh,
that's
yeah. We
I
have
give you-
Before
midterm.
that.
I give you enough room. When is his midterm?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That's
Y'all a midterm already?
Uh-huh.
Same thing.
Yes, sir.
I need to move mine up here. Hold on.
No,
No.
man.
So you need to move it
Oh,
back.
please don't. Please, dear God, don't.
Don't do that, man. Give us a break.
I already studying for your test tonight and forget about class. That's why I late.
That's why you lady. Okay.
I totally forgot about class. I already studying. No phone,
I got
nothing
you.
next to me.
That's good. That's a good thing. All right.
Mr. Cartwright,
So
this
let's-
class ain't to be on the test, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I'm still on the road. I have to get the information from Colette.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Okay. Hopefully she could explain it to me good.
Hopefully.
Lord help the two of us.
So what I can do is if you need it, let me see. Okay. So normal
Send
rate
us the
of,
slides.
Yes, please.
I love
Okay.
you.
I can
Yes,
pray on that.
please.
I can say the Lord lead me. All right. So the nominal rate of return will be 14.4%. So you look at your real rate, you add your inflation rate, and then you add your real rate times your inflation rate, and you get your 14.4%. All right. So there are two ways you could work it out. Your real rate, which is your 10%, your real rate is what you would be getting paid this year if you invested. Your inflation rate is what obviously your inflation rate would be on a yearly basis. and then you add both of them. You take that real rate, you take your inflation rate, and then you add the product of both your real and inflation rate, and that's where you get your 14.4%. So let's look at your risk-free rate and your premiums. The nominal risk-free rate of interest, such as the rate of return on a T-bill, includes the real rate of interest and the inflation premium. The rate of return on all other riskier rates would have to include a default risk premium and a maturity risk premium. So let's slow down. The nominal risk-free rate of interest, such as the rate of return on a T-bill, includes the real rate of interest, which is what? That's why it's so low. So your rate of it, this is what makes up your entire interest rate. So you'll know what makes up your entire interest rate. All right. You have your real rate of interest, which is what you would get anywhere on any investment. That's the base rate. That's the cheapest rate you could get. And then you have to include the inflation rate, which is another base rate. Everything is affected by the real rate and the inflation rate. That's why a risk-free, which is in quotes, a risk-free rate of interest would always include your real rate of interest plus your inflation. Everybody got that?
Yes.
All right. So Chevelle, since you get that, you can answer me this then. Answer me this.
No, I can't.
Answer me this. Why then on riskier investments would you add those other two premiums? What's in your mind, in your own mind? What's the default risk premium?
No idea.
Anybody else will take a stab at it? What's in your mind? A default, let's break it up, a default risk premium. I'm gonna start calling names, so I ain't seen nobody answer yet. Like Shanaria. Samaya, you want to take a stab at it?
You said what is
What a
it?
default.
Yeah.
Me, when you say Samaya, you was talking to me. Hey,
Right.
Samaya is my daughter. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem. Because
So,
mind you,
wouldn't that be where, like, okay, for instance, we give out this, like, what we're going through right now, persons are unable to pay their loans. So it's based on the premise that people won't be able to pay their loans? No? That's a
No.
default rate? No?
not
Default
necessarily.
risk. What you said, the default risk premium?
Said
Right.
default.
The difference, it should be the difference between the interest rate and the risk rate.
The interest rate on the
I
what?
think the default risk
And the
premium would
risk-free
just
rate?
be,
On the
would it
risk-free
be a
rate?
rate?
All right, let's try this one at a time. Sorry. Let me, I'm going to do it based on how
so
I see.
that's the interest rate.
Okay, I'm muting my
The
mic.
difference between the interest rate and, go ahead. I'm confused now.
What the question is again?
No, go ahead. I appreciate you.
What's the default risk? What's the default risk? What's the default risk premium?
A default. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It's like the rate, let me see. Let me
It's
take a
the
look at it.
difference between the interest rate and the risk-free rate.
What you owe?
You sure?
I know. You say take a stop.
I want you to take a stop. Okay. Pull at this. All right. Remember now I said, you have your risk-free rates of interest that are applied to investments that have zero risk. Risk being the probability of loss. Risk being the chance that you don't pay them back. Risk being the chance that your money will be lost in this investment. When you talk about other investments that are not the T-bills, which are zero risk, or the government bonds, which are zero risk because this government will always pay you back, or the other lower risk stuff like the CDs or your term deposits, and you start going into things like stocks and all that kind of stuff, or even more risky loans, your default risk premium is something that the lender would charge you. Why?
Okay. Gotcha.
Why would they charge you that?
Assuming the risk or assuming the default risk.
Right.
Assuming that you will not pay it off.
Yeah, so they
Right.
would have that.
The likelihood of default.
Was a total loss.
Right. So what they will do is the more risky they feel you are to not pay them back, the higher that they're gonna add that premium. Make sense?
Makes
Make
sense.
sense?
But how do they determine how risky you are?
They look at your credit. They look at things like your credit score. Which is why credit score is so important, because they determine how you pay other loans to how you pay them back.
Yeah.
They'll also determine and that's why they also use your TDSR, your total debt service ratio, because they know, bruh, if you use this and that's why your commercial loan will be high. Okay, based on that understanding, why would your commercial loan be higher than your mortgage?
Because the mortgage is secured.
Correct. Your
With
mortgage,
the consumer loans, they more like out there, like.
right? And they know at the end of the month, people will pay their mortgage before they pay their consumer loan.
Right.
Right? Because more than likely what you bought with the consumer loan, you don't use that. You don't forget that. You don't go on your trip. You don't use your $5,000. Now, I didn't enjoy myself. I didn't been to Vegas. I didn't have my good time.
Now you got to pay it back.
But I didn't enjoy my. And so it's always like when you come to the end of the month, you decide, now listen, do I pay BPL or do I pay phone? I can live with a phone. I can't live without that condition. You know, when you kind of have to make those kind of decisions, banks on the flip side make a decision to say, listen, you would pay. And then sometimes banks look at the whole thing about where they're not in real estate. So they're not in the market to be worrying about you not paying your mortgage, and they got to put it on the market and they got to wait for the right buyer and all that. They ain't into all that. So if they don't tell you no, they will charge you for the risk they're taking on. Now, when we talk about maturity risk premium, what does that speak to?
The time they give you.
Elaborate.
They'll give you a shorter time if it's risky, I guess, and a longer time, I guess, if it's not. I don't know.
What happens is they figure the longer you keep this loan, the longer time I got this on my books, and the more risk you pose me for not paying it back later down. So for instance, so that means then that, you know, they may say, listen, I'm going to charge you this higher rate of interest or this higher rate because of the risk of maturity. Let's look at what maturity risk is. Maturity risk is essentially defined as when you look at it, maturity risk premium is the amount of extra return you'll see in your investment by purchasing a bond with a longer maturity date. Maturity risk premiums are designed to compensate investors or lenders for taking on the risk for holding these bonds for a longer period of time. Here's why. You're going to pay me for you holding my money longer than I would have held it. Make sense? Because for instance, if I purchase bonds, essentially that means that I'm lending a company something, right? And bonds are long term. So for those 30 years that you're holding my 10 grand that I invested in you, because the promise is you're going to pay me back my 10 grand in 30 years. For each of those 30 years that you're holding my money, I'm expecting you to pay me a premium that because I've given you the money as opposed to using the money for another investment. Make sense?
I think so.
Sense. Yeah, it makes
All
sense.
right. So all of these are encapsulated in your more risky investments. So that's why more risky investments have a higher premium or have a higher interest rate, because they take on and they consider more risk. Remember now, interest rate is the cost of lending money. And so when I charge you, I'm charging you not just based on what I'm lending you, but I'm charging you for the opportunity cost that I'm incurring by not using my money elsewhere. You're paying me a premium for spending my time here. or spending my money here. All right. A 30-year corporate bond yield is greater than a 30-year T-bond yield. Why? Because due to the increased length of time and the higher default risk on the corporate bond investment. Everybody may understand that? A 30-year corporate bond is more risky, is higher than a 30-year T-bond yield. Anybody know what a yield is? Quick definition of a yield.
To give way to demands or pressure.
What would be true? What would be a yield for this particular?
Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, you go ahead.
It would be earnings generated on an investment.
Right. Okay. So then that means then, so why would a yield on a 30-year corporate bond be greater than the yield on a 30-year T-bond?
Treasury bonds are more secure.
Correct. Which means then what?
Less risk.
Yep. Which means then that with less risk, less return. More risk, more return. All right. Let's move on. Yield curves. What are yield curves? A yield curve is a graphical depiction of the relationship between the interest rate and the maturity rate of a financial instrument. Let me break it down for you. A yield curve just shows in picture form how interest rates and maturity dates correspond with each other. So although most yield curves tend to be upward sloping, they can take on various shapes, such as being downward sloping or inverted and flat over time. Let's make that make sense. When you see this, what does it say to you? An upward sloping yield curve. Tell me what this picture says to you.
Higher interest rate, longer time. I don't know.
The higher the time to maturity, the higher the interest rate. The lower the time to maturity, the lower the interest rate. Can we see that on the thing? Everybody can see my mouse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what it said, oh, sorry. So what it's saying here is that around here, our T-bills are shown. Well, where T-bills reside. Okay. Your T-bills reside. A shorter time period, a shorter time to maturity is a shorter interest rate, because a shorter time to maturity, which means then there's a lower risk of you losing your money. We agree to that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Longer term, which is where your bonds reside, the longer the time to maturity, the higher the interest rate, because the longer they hold your money, the longer you don't get your money back. It's almost like when you pay people, right? If somebody tell you, lend me $10 till Friday, you can handle that. But if they say, lend me $10 and I can pay you back December 1, chances are you're gonna lend them the money, because you just write it off and say, you know what, I can give you this, because usually I say I'm lending you this because I know if you gotta take that long to pay me back, you don't have that. so you think with that kind of rationale, that this is called an upward sloping yield curve. A downward sloping yield curve comes like this: short maturity, high interest rate; long maturity, lower interest rate. So that means then that the longer it takes for this thing to mature, the lower the interest rate that I'm getting. Time maturity. This is where you would find often your payday loans. You only need this money till next payday, but they're gonna charge you high interest because they're saying in their minds, if you need to come to me so quickly for this payday loan, chances are you're not good with money, so you're high risk and not paying me back. Let me give it to you. Or they say because of the convenience, you're not paying a convenience fee. Because you need it so bad, I could charge you whatever I want to charge you because you're gonna pay whatever you need to pay because you need this money right now. So they charge you a convenience fee. So I think we have already been here. Calculating the EAR. Okay, you have 5 minutes to, well, 2 minutes to answer this. I mean, that's how much time you get to answer your test. Each question is 2 minutes. So just kind of prepping you.
Right, but I think
I was like, what?
Pardon?
tests are overrated. Should just
Yeah.
this COVID, everything just messed up. Like you can't even.
I'm saying Samaya Johnson, but that is actually who?
Shakara Cargill, Samaya is my
Okay.
daughter.
I got you. All right. See, Cargill, and then you related to one of our lectures, right?
Huh?
You related, right?
I'm sorry. What happened?
You
No,
related
yeah,
to one of our lecturers? No?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he let me know.
He stressed me out too. You know, just like y'all must see his friends because y'all very stressful.
That's why. He said, oh, this is my niece. I said, oh, good. I knew that. So if any test get hard, just blame it on. Yeah.
On who, me? I bet, listen, if I could not have to take a test and get an A, I'd do it.
Right there with you.
So let's take 5 minutes. Let's work out problem 1.
Sure, we'll be working out.
Problem 1. Calculating the EAR.
I get 9.92475.
And how much are you, if you pay it off in a one lump sum at the end of the year, how much interest will you have paid?
You would have only paid the 9.5%, right?
No, because you're paying
Or it's
on a
compounded monthly. Hold on.
Hold on, my thing actually. Why does it have these scotches? Oh, sorry. Okay.
So, Mr. Cartwright, you can give us the APR thingam
What's that now?
formula. The formula.
I can pray about it. It's gonna come probably in the you mean the 6-step one?
Anyone. I mean, for all these problems, if y'all could provide the formulas, because it's a lot. I can't remember what happened yesterday.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I old, you know.
Oh boy. Let me. I may do. I may see. I can see how I feel by the night. Um.
Yes, man. Help us a little bit. We ain't as young as we used to be. Where your brain could just retain everything. It can't retain nothing.
I know, right?
I feel the same way.
And you and Mr. Cargo class so similar. Like I thinking I doing your work and this his class.
Well, that should make it easier because then it means you're getting double. Double teaching, double impact.
No, because his own more tedious than yours. At least I think I can pass yours. I don't even think I can pass his. And then we working all day and dealing with clients and stuff. And then you gotta come home to these children.
Ah, Lord.
Don't mind him. Do it how you used to do it. I can pretend and sit down and tell you this easy. I ain't gonna lie.
No, man, you could be all right.
I'm serious.
How much we paying at the end of the year?
I don't even know because I don't even know. You gotta send me the thing. Colette, you get it? She ain't even saying nothing.
Sort of.
Somebody gave me an answer earlier.
Ain't nobody know.
The way that you do, no, someone is a 9.9.
Hold on. I trying to work it out.
I get that, but I didn't calculate the end of the year amount at the end of the year.
What you do is when you want to find out how much you're paying at the end of the year, you take that, you take your principal amount, which is the 100,000. You multiply it by 1 plus that percentage that you got. So you take that percentage and you add 1 to that. Yeah. Actually, you take that percentage, make it a decimal, add 1 to that, and then you multiply it.
Jesus. Oh.
We good? Everybody gone quiet.
Still working it out.
Okay. Javaz, you good?
Trying. I trying. That's all I can say. All right. I think it right.
What you got?
907.57.
You didn't do something.
No.
This is how you work it out right here.
John, I
ain't
get that
clear.
completely wrong. Hold on. Let's just stay that out.
Oh, wow.
Boy, if you all know what number I get, you'll laugh.
Keep that to yourself.
I stop at this 1.099.
Oh. Oh, Lord.
So what this is, are you looking at on this thing? One.
I tell you, Mr. Cartwright, this ain't easy.
I know. No, you get it.
I didn't have the formula because I was missing the first part of the class, so I only trying to go by the book. I
All
didn't
right,
even do it.
I'm gonna send some homework by email.
Nice. So excited.
Wow.
I can feel
Lord.
it.
Homework
feel
and
it.
quiz.
Homework and a quiz, but on only till Tuesday, and we have to study for Mr.
And
Carter
we have
midterm.
midterm just.
I know, right? 2 midterms I got.
I think I pulling up your midterm anyhow. Hold on, let me see.
This lockdown weekend ain't gonna be good at all.
That's
the
you know
screen.
you're supposed to be out anyway. This can help occupy your time.
Drink plenty of rum.
First, you need a clear mind first. You got to clear your mind from the 2 days that you was there just to get focused back.
Right.
you
So
can't
you clear your mind Saturday and Sunday, and then take the test either Monday or Tuesday.
No, Mr. Cargill test on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
And I have a midterm Monday and I have one on Tuesday. So
Monday?
Monday I have banking law.
Jesus.
That's a holiday, man.
Monday's
Yeah.
holiday.
It
And
was
you
either
also have
that
tests?
or on Wednesday. I only could do it Monday or Wednesday. So
Child, I was doing that Wednesday.
I have
Oh, no,
class.
Wednesday
I
is
have
this class. Oh, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Girl, you stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, you only could do what you could do.
Boy,
Yeah.
I have to weigh out my options.
I can't let these 2 classes kill me.
No, listen, I could deal with the finances. Is the management would beat me.
I serious. I mean, I have bags under my eyes and all.
And Mr. Cartwright gonna find and things for us to do.
Everybody good? Okay. I wasn't sure. All right, let's look at it. Let's look at this part, okay?
I
mean, look
why
at
Mr. Cartwright, why does class have to be so much calculations, man? Why we just can't answer what is yield? What is this? What is that?
No, man.
Hold on. You can go back, please.
Trust me.
We ain't going
have
over it.
like
All these you have to realize these scientific calculator. We don't use all these square and all these different things.
this is an easy class. I mean, the good thing for y'all is I'm not seeing y'all in person. I'm more stringent when I'm in person.
And some of these formulas tricky, man. When you're missing, you think you open brackets, you don't open brackets. Call it out to do it like 10 times.
Hold on, we working this out?
No, I'm just showing you what the answer is. The answer is you at the end of the year, you're paying $109,924.70. Okay.
Can you go back to the or we can get these slides or no?
Yeah.
Okay. He said yes.
Okay, good.
If your EAR with monthly compounding, if First Federal offers to structure the 9.5%, $100,000 1-year loan on a monthly payment basis, calculate your monthly payment. But you can see this on your on the slide. This is how it would look. So First Federal offers to structure the 9.5%, $100,000 1-year loan on a monthly payment basis. The first thing is you calculate your monthly payment, and you calculate then the amount of interest paid at the end of the year. So what you do is you take your 9.5%, you divide it by 12 because there are 12 months in a year. Your present value is 100,000. that this what you see is the n and the I divided by y and all that kind of stuff. This is what you would use if you had a financial calculator.
Out a negative.
Right. Because your payment on a financial calculator, you always show payments as negative.
Yeah.
Because that's money going out.
So would we need to buy a financial calculator, or we don't have to?
No, you could
worry
use your scientific.
Okay.
So where that 1.0079167 come from?
Was that?
Where did the APY or EAR equals 1.00, where did that come from? Because I follow in all the rest of it.
When you take your 9.5 and you divide it by 12, what did you get?
Okay. All right then, sorry.
No,
And then you do it.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's what I got. No, that's what I
What?
got. And then I do it
Okay.
to the power of 12.
Right. And then you added, this is where you add the 1 and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So what the answer was? 9.92%?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello. Hey, which is that? Today or when? Okay. You want me to just look over it or you want me to print it? Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay, I can look over it. Okay. Okay, not a problem. Okay, not a problem. All right.
who else in here was from Commonwealth Bank? Only Colette? Someone else?
How many person are bankers?
Me. Justice.
I'm not a banker.
Who's? Let me see. Let me see the name. Oh, let me see who's not. Who's not a banker?
That'll be me. I'm not.
So Chavez, you are. What do you do?
Dealer. Because table dealer.
Hold on. Oh,
No.
okay. Good. Yeah.
Takara.
Could you clarify that? Just dealer.
Well, I was a dealer. I don't know what I will be in another couple months.
I got you. We hold on to hope.
Boy, listen. Not after this day.
Shaniri, what do you do?
I work in compliance at Colino.
I got you. Anthony, you are a banker?
No, I'm in fund administration.
Where is that? Where do you do fund administration?
Winterbotham.
Winterbotham. Got you.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. Carla, you're at Commonwealth?
Yes.
Why you sound like that? You sound so hurt.
No, I know, I good.
Oh, okay. And, okay. And Colette, you're where?
She's Commonwealth.
Okay.
She really hurt.
Yeah. She sound hurt.
They haven't answered you.
So are the banks going to be open as of that? The banks will be open, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What I will do is I'll share this PowerPoint with everybody.
Please.
That's it. So
Yeah.
Enjoy the exam. Enjoy the test.
Right.
I'm going to give you an extra hour and a half to, study
Oh,
for
that would be nice. You said it starts and like then it finish on Monday?
Tuesday.
And this chapters 1, 2, and 3?
No. 2, 3, and 4.
2 and 3.
2, 3, and 4.
I thought it was just 2 and 3.
No, 2, 3, and 4, because 2 is actually financial statements, but 3 and 4 are
Time value.
parts 1 and 2.
So we
are-
went over financial statements.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I'm sure I did.
So what we what we learning
I
that?
think that's,
Oh,
that
wow.
was,
I thought it was
that
only
the
2 and 3.
Pardon?
was that the chapter with the balance?
Correct. Financial statements with your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, all those kind of stuff that we went over.
But we ain't had to do no balance sheet or nothing, right?
Cash flow from financing activities, cash flow from
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
to do a balance
Yeah.
sheet for homework one time ago, long time.
a long time ago in Bethlehem. So
I never do no balance sheet.
Before these calculations come into play.
right, but at least the good thing is you have your book, so you can follow your book. Based on what I remember from the questions, it's just asking you how much is the cash flow from these whatever activities and that kind of stuff. Ain't nothing, you know. If you don't
Okay.
know, if you don't know, choose C.
What?
Butterface, they choose C.
But if you have any questions, I'm only a WhatsApp away. If you're scared to ask in the group, you could ask. You could. Is it DM, PM? What is it? DM, PM?
PM.
Yeah, one of them. You can let me know, and I'll be happy to assist.
Yes, sir.
All
Okay,
hearts and
thank
minds
you.
cleared. Not a problem.
Yes.
So I'm gonna share this by email. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna no. Yes, I'm gonna put it in the group because I don't think everybody has the corrected email address in the school system. So I'm gonna share this in the group, and then you can let me know once you received it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have a
Sounds
great
good.
day.
Yes, you too.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
All right.
Good night, y'all. Good luck on the test.
Same to you.